Hello! So tonight I'm making enchilada casserole. I've got 2 pounds of meat in the pan. It's 1 pound of ground pork and 1 pound of ground beef. And I'm going to brown it and then drain some of the grease out. This enchilada casserole was passed on to me by my grandmother. And it was passed on to her by her mom and grandma, so I'm not sure how long it's been in our family, but it's been a long time. You'll need a can of cream of mushroom, a can of cream of chicken, a can of tomato soup, a can of diced tomatoes and green chilies, which I use an organic kind, but Rotel is the same. A little bit of hot sauce, diced green chilies. I minced some garlic, jalapeno, green pepper, just a large. So this was 1 medium-sized jalapeno, 1 large green pepper, and 1/2 of a large red onion. So this casserole is kind of layered like lasagna. And you layer it with corn tortillas. You don't have to cook the corn tortillas before you put them in the casserole dish. You just layer it. And then you layer this mixture and then cheese. And we'll go through all of that. So I'm going to let this brown for a little while. Okay, my meat has been browning for about 5 minutes. And again, it's 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of pork. But you can use 2 pounds of ground beef or, you know, whatever kind of ground meat you prefer. Chicken or turkey or anything. I know a friend of mine made this with ground chicken and she said it was really good. Okay, so before I go any further, I'm going to drain the grease. Oh, some people like to rinse their meat, but I don't like to because I feel like it takes some of the flavor away. So I just tip my pan and ladle it out. Alright, now I'm going to add all of these ingredients. You just put it all in the same pot. So I've got my onions and bell pepper. And I've got my jalapeno and garlic. And the jalapeno is actually optional. Or you can put less. Or you can put the seeds in. I de-seeded it so that it's not as spicy. But if you like really spicy dishes, you can leave the seeds in. Okay. I'm going to stir this and let this cook for a while until the onions are cooked a little. It smells so good. The aromas quickly fill the air with this casserole. You'll have a happy house. You don't have to worry about cooking the vegetables too much because they're going to cook while you simmer and then in the oven when it's all put together. I've experimented with this casserole a little. I tried using fresh tomatoes and it seemed to make the casserole a little too soupy. I guess because of all the water and the fresh tomatoes. So I do prefer using canned tomatoes. For those of you that like to use fresh ingredients, they just don't work as well with this. So now I'm going to add all the soups and tomatoes. This is what makes the sauce. And it seems like a strange combination, but the taste is spectacular. This is one of those casseroles you can make for company, and everyone there will love it, if they like Mexican or Tex-Mex. Alright, now for the tomatoes. And this is fire roasted, so it will give a little bit of a smoky taste. And I also purchased the fire roasted diced green chilies as well. Okay, and then you just pour maybe 1/4 of a cup of hot sauce. Not too much. And then you stir all that together until it's blended well. You also want to turn your fire on low, so that way it's not bubbling up all over the place. Again, it shouldn't be too soupy. It's like a thick sauce. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. I usually do like 1 big pinch of pepper and 1 big pinch of salt. You don't need a whole lot of salt because the soups already have salt in it. So I just do 1 big pinch. And then after it simmers for the 20 minutes, I'll taste it, and if it needs any more salt or pepper, I add it at that time. Okay, so this is on low. I'm just going to let this sit for 20 minutes and come back and taste it, and then we'll put the casserole together. This has been simmering for 20 minutes, and I'm going to taste it and see if there's enough salt and pepper, or if I want it a little spicier. If I want it a little spicier, I'll just add a little more hot sauce to it. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more salt and pepper. Just a pinch. Alright. And it is ready to start layering on or in our casserole dish. So this usually makes about 3 or 4 layers. And then sometimes I'll use 2 small casserole dishes and save 1 for later because I personally feel like this tastes better the next day. It has time to sit and marinate. This is one of those casseroles that you can make ahead on the weekend and have it ready for the week for dinner. Alright, so first I'm going to put a little on the bottom of the pan so that way the corn tortillas do not stick. You just spread that out. Okay. And then you layer. Alright. While this was simmering, I grated 8 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese and 8 ounces of Monterey Jack cheese. You can use the pre-shredded, but make sure you get the non-processed cheese because most shredded cheeses have been processed and it's not real cheese. So I would make sure that you're using real cheese. I try to incorporate as many organic and unprocessed foods in my cooking as possible. So then you sprinkle. I like a lot of cheese. And if you have leftover cheese, you can save it for later. I preheated my oven to 425, and this will cook uncovered for another 20 minutes. So total cook time for this dish is about 50 minutes minus prepping. So probably an hour total. Alright, I just pulled it out of the oven. As you can see, it's still bubbling. You want to pull it out when the cheese is melted and brown around the edges. It looks delicious. So let it cool off for a little bit, and then I'm going to serve it and taste it. Okay, so it's time to try some. It's cooled off a little. So I'll pull some out of the edge here. Alright. It looks yummy.